We start, as the city did, with the Romans. Our starting point is the northernmost part of Bailgate, where Newport Arch crosses the road. If you're following the tour on foot, press pause and restart when you've reached the right point. Very few Roman arches still stand in Britain, and Lincoln's Newport Arch is the only one that you can actually drive under. It marks the spot where one of the major roads of Roman Lindum passed through the city's north wall to become Ermine Street, the road to York. The city's north wall ran to the left and right of what was then an imposing gateway, with large double arches for vehicles and smaller flanking arches for foot passengers. In the garden of the house to the eastern side, that's the right-hand side from this position, a small piece of that Roman wall survives. To the right of Newport Arch, East Bight follows the line of the road which in Roman times ran just inside the wall. Our journey through this area takes us through more than 2,000 years of history. We start by walking southwards on Bailgate, which broadly follows the line of the Roman road. In the Middle Ages, this area within the old Roman walls was laid out in what are called burgage plots, or properties rented out by a lord or the monarch. The shape of such plots was typically of a long, narrow strip of land, the narrow end facing the street having a house on it. The ground plans are generally similar, but the houses date from widely different periods. Some have stone arches on the ground floor, evidence of their origins in the High Middle Ages, probably the 13th or 14th centuries. Yet their windows and their brick upper floors are of the 18th and 19th century in the main. We stop at the point where Westgate joins Bailgate. This is what we're looking for. Pause now and restart when you've got to the right place. Look down and you'll see circular patterns of sets in the road and the pavement. Here they mark something special, the site of the columns which formed the portico of the Roman Forum. Westgate was one of the entrances to the Forum. The marks of the columns stand partly in the road, but if you follow their line, you'll see they disappear under later buildings. Most traces of the Roman Forum have disappeared, but there is a sizable fragment still to be seen, one of Lincoln's best-kept secrets. Turn into Westgate and walk a short distance down it. On your left, in a sunken space, you pass a Roman well. On your right, you soon come to the tall, red-brick Castle Hotel. Turn right here, walking around the back of the hotel. You'll see a large piece of Roman masonry, surviving here to 7 metres in height, with another 2 metres below ground level. This isn't a part of the city walls. Though known today as the Mint Wall, it's actually formed the north wall of the Basilica, the largest public building in the Roman Forum. We walk back now into Bailgate, and then turn right to continue southwards. As we go, we pass through a picturesque townscape with a great variety of styles and sizes of buildings along the now gently curving road. Bailgate follows the line of the arrow-straight north-south road which ran through the Roman city. So why is the modern road not equally straight? Here, as in all new military settlements, the Romans imposed a strictly grid-shaped overall plan. But from the early Middle Ages onwards, development proceeded plot by plot. Slowly, those straight Roman lines became blurred. Yet still the general direction of Bailgate follows that Roman road very closely. Bailgate ends at Castle Hill, which in the Middle Ages was a busy marketplace. When you've reached it, restart this video. Castle Hill is a much wider space, where the buildings are taller and wider than those in Bailgate. It has to its west Lincoln Castle. To the east is medieval Exchequer Gate, guarding the approach to the cathedral. This location is the main and largest open public space in the city. In the Middle Ages, Bailgate and Castle Hill formed an important commercial centre of Lincoln. Here in the upper city, surviving houses and business premises dating from the 13th and 14th centuries, many of them stone-built, speak of this time of commercial importance. From around 1350 onwards, we first see a move towards timber-framed buildings in the houses built by prominent and wealthy merchants. Lee Pemberton House, here on Castle Hill, is a fine and striking example from around 1540. And there are other examples in Eastgate and Bailgate. By the early 18th century, brick was a more common building material. Bricks were cheap to make from local clay and easy to transport. They remained fashionable into the 19th century, by which time they had begun to be brought in by train from Nottinghamshire and further afield. We return now northward, back up Bailgate. Keep the video running as you walk. We're making for the assembly rooms on the right-hand side of the road, just to the north of the point where Westgate joins Bailgate. This is what it looks like. Restart when you're there. The assembly rooms were built in 1744. What you see from the street is an extension added in 1914, but the original rooms still exist at the back. Those original rooms were set deliberately far back from the general building line of the street, and the eaves end of the building faced the street, unlike all the other houses here. Both these elements are designed to mark the assembly rooms out as a special public building. Also in the 18th century, a number of narrow-fronted houses were built on existing medieval plots in Upper Bailgate. Elsewhere in Lincoln, there are few houses from this period of economic decline. The prosperous times of the late Victorian and Edwardian periods, around 1869 to 1919, saw a spurt of building in the area. Many of the shop fronts from this period survive. Today, Bailgate continues to serve as a shopping centre, its shops in the main being small, specialist ones, unlike the national chains lower down the high street. There have been changes, but Castle Hill remains a key public space where markets are still held several times a year. And the area remains at the heart of Lincoln. This Heritage Trail video is one of 3 exploring key central areas of the city of Lincoln. You can access the other 2 from the Heritage Connect website. There too you will find links to a series of 18 short, non-guided videos which explain and illustrate the sense of place of different areas of the city.